Hi, this is Rylan Searley, and this is my Week 12 multimedia assignment for sports economics. This week I'm going to start with Part B. So this week during the lecture, we highlighted marginal productivity in sports. The example we discussed was Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth back in the 30s Yankees era. We highlighted that Gehrig was such an unstoppable hitter that he often did not get the opportunity to hit. What we mean by this is that Babe Ruth would hit before Lou Gehrig, which gave Ruth the opportunity to bring on-base players home before Lou. Having to dominate, in this case, reduces the marginal benefit for a team like the Yankees compared to a team such as the A's. Even though this doesn't really make sense as to the era we're talking about, but assuming the A's were there and you have a player like Gehrig on them, it would be more beneficial to them than the Yankees, who already have Ruth. Obviously, they are both long past now, but it offered a fun thought experiment in lecture. This wanted me to offer insights during our discussion on how that could apply beyond sports. For those that know Formula One, imagine in the workplace you had a coworker who was an equivalent to a Max Verstappen in the job that you do and whatever the skills that you may need. But at the same time, you may be a Carlos Sainz. You're still one of the best in the world, yet you are still shadowed by the dominance of your coworker who attributes the likes like Verstappen. And I think what I found in Part A is actually, the reason I start with B is because the article I found in A correlates pretty well to the insights just discussed in B. I'm utilizing accounting for complementary skill sets, evaluating individual marginal value to a team in the National Basketball Association, and that's by Joseph Kuhn. In this paper, Kuhn leverages the heterogeneity of skill sets between players to recognize inefficiencies relative to the team objectives. Much like the Ruth and Gehrig analysis, how do different skill sets complement teams' marginal output in the NBA? A key metric in understanding the marginal values is the EPP, or the expected points per possession. The player that provides the largest EPP is Steph Curry, unsurprisingly. That is because replacing him would deter the most value in the league. And that's arguably because of the amount of 3 points he shoots within certain ranges that was analyzed in the tables within the paper. But a player like Enes Kanter had the third highest EPP above players such as DeMar DeRozan, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant, which I feel is a bit surprising, especially because they're such big names within the league, and because of their dominance. However, drawing conclusions about the most optimal lineup and marginal value is difficult due to productivity spillovers among teammates, which is a lot like what we discussed with Ruth and Gehrig. The marginal value of having a player like Gehrig is hard to analyze just because of the spillover between both of their performances. And I would like to share this finding and see our class's thoughts on a later lecture, because I'm curious to know if my peers think you can measure players in this way to find the most ideal lineup, or is the spillover just too large? And even things like relationships, like do the guys like each other? How do you measure that? And do professional teams already leverage some of this science in creating the lineups and drafting players for each coming year? That's what I had for this week, and thank you for listening.